certainly proven he can do it when the conditions are right. I thought he would slightly prefer better ground, but he's a favourite all the same.
Yeah, the rain probably not getting into the ground too much just yet, but if this rain continues to fall, it will do so. But Sporting Mike is very popular in the market, and he's actually the last horse to go down, so they're keeping him nice and calm and relaxed heading out onto the track when the rest of the field are at the start. I thought Risking the Ground would be a shorter price, Lizzie, on the back of finally getting his head in front at Fontwell last time in Maiden Hurdle Company.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this horse is that he's been running in higher grade of a race and won last time at Fontwell over this trip in a lesser grade, and as a result of, having run in better races, he travelled very well throughout. He found the way that the speed they were going a lot easier, and he was the last off the bridle. He probably could have won by further. Harry Skelton was keen to keep him in company for as long as possible, and I thought Exeter would suit him as well.
Yep, definitely so. For me, it was quite interesting. He was favourite on his handicap debut, went off 11 to 8, went 6th at Ludlow. He's up £2 higher on this occasion on the back of that win at Fontwell, and probably disappointed he's not stronger in the market. One that is solid, our third favourite, King's Threshold. He's certainly an exposed one, just 2 novices, but run well at Uttoxeter and Warwick.
Yeah, this is his handicap debut after 2 decent enough runs over hurdles, finishing third, beating only 3.5 lengths on his hurdles debut at Uttoxeter. You'd probably be a bit more disappointed with the following run at Warwick, but he was staying on, and he was all the first 3 raced prominently. He had to come from 3/4 of the way back, so the race didn't particularly pan out for him.
Yeah, no, this is a very competitive contest. Lots of these I can consider. Bumpy Johnson going through the screen. You can see the triple cheek pieces as such, the sheepskin noseband as well as the sideburns. He's pretty consistent. He's had a few wind surgeries, but he won after the second of those at Foss last, and he's only £4 higher. Jack Tudor riding for David Pipe.
Yeah, another one that you can make a case for is Marmalade. Only run 4 times and has had a lot of time off the track, but ran a good race last time at Plumpton. She got beaten by a horse that was rated £20 better than her, and I think she'll be a bit fitter for that. She has had a lot of time off the track, and she seems difficult to piece run sections together really with her, but she's obviously come back out quite quickly on this occasion.
Just a bit of housekeeping. Syntharine was bought in for £14,000 from the Gary Moore yard after our opening seller. She was impressive, and there was a couple of people bidding, but she's heading back to Sussex after this success this afternoon. Finally, our favourite has got to the start, Sporting Mike. He is very, very strong. As we mentioned, the handicap looked like he might be in charge. Marmalade, who's very weak in the market, looks like being our front runner. Let's join Richard Hoyles as head onto the track.
But the flag not yet raised. Initially, they'll just turn away. We have reached post time, however, so it won't be too much of a wait. So conditions pretty grim. They switched the ground round after the first, and there was a note accompanying it saying if the forecast rain continues, which it is looking pretty set in, then there will be further changes. Flags raised. There's Dr. Peter Hennis, 1833 Halden Jewel Novices Handicap Hurdle. And the runners approaching the starter. Just 1 flight of hurdles in the back straight on the first circuit, and they're sent on their way. Marmalade it is who is the first one to show on the approach towards the first, with Exmoor Forest and also Bombay Sapphire, Saturday Song, Risk in the Ground are all just pursuing the leader, with Bumpy Johnson on the wide outside as they rise for the first time. Pack markers over it included Arthur Lott and also Sporting Mike, both of whom have had their supporters in the market. And King's Threshold, 3 or 4 from the back, races keenly on the outside at this stage of Gingerbread. So Marmalade it is who cuts out the early running, leading by a length from Risk in the Ground in the maroon and white in second. Saturday Song, mauve jacket, paler mauve colours of Exmoor Forest, and Bumpy Johnson in the noseband and cheek pieces. They are 3rd, 4th and 5th. Bombay Sapphire in green and red with Ticket Off in white and red. Gingerbread red colours with the hooped sleeves ahead of King's Threshold, who settled a little better. And the orange and black of Commander of 10 as they continue their progress up the home straight. And the back 2 at this stage remain Sporting Mike and Arthur Lott. Racing then on towards the second. Marmalade it is who led over it, and they all pop over that without any mishap. Marmalade and Risk in the Ground leading them towards the middle one up the home straight. Once again, they're all over. Sporting Mike and Arthur Lott still remain the back markers as they head on down towards the flight of hurdles that will be number 4 of the contest. Marmalade on the left-hand side, the grey, Risk in the Ground in second. Over in third, Saturday Song with Bumpy Johnson on the outside, and between that pair, Exmoor Forest. Continue their progress up the run-in, past the line with the circuit to go. Bombay Sapphire racing closer to the running rail. King's Threshold alongside Ticket Off in white and red. Gingerbread still ridden patiently. And the last 3, Commander of 10. Sporting Mike just preceded now by Arthur Lot. And this is where they have the long run between the 2 flights of hurdles that are numbers 4 and 5. Marmalade, who's cut out the running so far for Nico de Boinville, leading from in second place, Risk in the Ground under Harry Skelton. And they're on this long swinging right-hand turn. Saturday Song sitting in third place with Bumpy Johnson towards the outside for Jack Tudor. Between horses Exmoor Forest, then Bombay Sapphire, King's Threshold and Ticket Off making up the next wave. A Gingerbread on the inside of Commander of 10. And they're about now to reach the highest point of the racecourse, and shortly they'll swing right-handed into the back straight. Followed through by Gingerbread, who's towards the back of the pack. Arthur Lot and Sporting Mike still held up right at the back of the field by Keelan Woods, as they're now beginning to make the turn, and then will be descending into the back straight, where there are 4 flights of hurdles awaiting them. Marmalade at no more than an even pace in the softening conditions has the lead from in second place, Risk in the Ground. Bumpy Johnson's white sheepskin noseband make out through the gloom over on the outside of the field, with Saturday Song and Exmoor Forest the next 2. Bombay Sapphire, King's Threshold and Ticket Off on the outside of that one. Behind those we have Commander of 10 with Gingerbread, Sporting Mike and Arthur Lot. So now beginning the climb out of the dip and racing on towards the 5th. Next couple of flights come up pretty swiftly after the previous long run, as Marmalade leads them over it. So Marmalade, Risk in the Ground, Bumpy Johnson, and towards the inside Saturday Song. Then Exmoor Forest in 5th place. Marmalade just put in a short stride there, but once again they are all over safely, and the majority of them still travelling pretty well. Sporting Mike pulled towards the outside, rider pulled down a set of goggles, and the field are pretty well bunched. As out in the lead, Marmalade, with Risk in the Ground now just about alongside as they take the next flood of hurdles together. Bumpy Johnson, Saturday Song, and then Exmoor Forest. 6th place for King's Threshold, who's improved. Bombay Sapphire comes next from Ticket Off, Gingerbread. Sporting Mike still just about last of all, with Arthur Lot just preceding that one with Commander of 10. So this is the final flight in the back straight. It is 4 from the finish. And out in the lead, Marmalade disputes it with Risk in the Ground, who jumped it better and emerges with the lead. Marmalade ridden to hold the inside, the grey, as they begin the home turn. A lot of horses with chances here. Bumpy Johnson, Exmoor Forest, Saturday Song on the running rail. Ticket Off in white and red. Round the outside, Gingerbread has made ground. Sporting Mike is following that one. Then behind these, King's Threshold, Bombay Sapphire just looking for a little bit of racing room in a well-packed field. Marmalade is now being strongly ridden. Risk in the Ground travelling stronger is on the outside. Behind those, in third place, is Bumpy Johnson as they continue their progress on towards the next flight of hurdles, which is 3 from the finish. King's Threshold, Sporting Mike and Ticket Off are both travelling okay as well. Then Arthur Lot, Saturday Song. Marmalade's lost ground swiftly, and Bombay Sapphire is quickly pulled up before the third last. Over that third last, Exmoor Forest has moved through to dispute the lead with Bumpy Johnson. On the right-hand side is King's Threshold, Sporting Mike, then Gingerbread, and still towards the inside, Risk in the Ground. 4 or 5 with a chance here. Bumpy Johnson in the noseband in the centre. Exmoor Forest, the pale colours. Closer to the stands, the near side rail is Risk in the Ground. Then's King's Threshold. Exmoor Forest just rose in front. Bumpy Johnson, however, is delivering a stern challenge, and King's Threshold trying to join in as well. Bumpy Johnson's got the lead. King's Threshold, however, is finishing off strongly here in the closing stages. King's Threshold just gets up to beat Bumpy Johnson, and Sporting Mike, who stayed on strongly but could only make third. In fourth was Exmoor Forest ahead of Arthur Lot.
On handicap day, with a lightly raced King's Threshold gets off the mark at the 5th attempt. This one trained by Emma Lavelle, ridden by Tom Bellamy, and travelled eye-catchingly well in a race that was run at a very steady pace. Lizzie Kelly, I mean, absolutely cracking finish.
Yeah, sort of hidden away in the middle of the pack, was always travelling very well. They it didn't go that quick. I felt like Harry Skelton tried to quicken it once they jumped the last down the back straight. King's Threshold was just able to sneak into it. You know, it's a long way up this home straight at Exeter. As you said, this is his handicap debut. 2 decent runs under his belt. Over hurdles, finishing third, but this was a big improvement again today in what was a very deep and competitive race. I love the way he was sort of smuggled away in the middle of them all. The gaps opened at the right time for him. There were plenty, very much in pitching, sort of 2 out, but he's stayed on really strongly.
Yeah, it was a really competitive contest. All 12 in a bunch as they left the home turn. I did think that Exmoor Forest in the purple and white was going to prove that third at 201 was no fluke. He's done that for Nigel Hawke. Then Bumpy Johnson hit the front. He's run a cracker again for Jack Tudor and David Pipe. And as you say, Harry Skelton was probably in the right place on Risking the Ground. The eye-catching one was the well-back Sporting Mike, dropped out dead last. He's made up a lot of ground. He's probably a little bit unlucky the way the race panned out, Sporting Mike.
Yeah, in a sense that having to make up that much ground from where he was, although he was always travelling very well at the back, but Marmalade and Risk in the Ground, who both made it, obviously Marmalade petered out fairly quickly, but Risk in the Ground has kept going, but possibly just the way the race has run, it's slightly favoured. The only one from the front who's really stayed going is actually Bumpy Johnson, isn't it? King's Threshold was sort of mid-div, and Sporting Mike very much held up. And you know, it's difficult when you're. I think what's difficult is being right in the middle, because you can be a victim of things just not going your way and gaps not opening when you need them to. But King's Threshold has successfully navigated his way through all of that.
Yeah, the gaps open nicely for King's Threshold. Winner for Emma Lavelle and Tom Bellamy. Let's get SPs back in the studio.
Yeah, King's Threshold, the winner, 15-2. Tom Bellamy, Emma Lavelle. Bumpy Johnson was second, and Sporting Mike, the 130 favourite, who was well supported, was back in third. King's Threshold, the winner, 15-2.
It's a bit wet and windy here at Exeter, but Emma Lavelle won't mind. King's Threshold, just his fifth start, in a handicap debut. A very impressive winner, I thought.
Yeah, he was good. You know, he's just a big baby still. He's, you know,